Do and say as others do and say, but think as an individual. You ready? All right, here we go. Riding with Coach Kia. Been a couple days, getting off a 48-hour shift, and I got to chatting this morning. It's 8:30. We get off at 8. I gotta be somewhere at 9. So we're gonna drive, chat, catch you up on the latest, get you some value, and hopefully get my ass to my appointment in time. Camera down here. Look, I'm looking here, camera's here. Let me fix this stuff. Yo, 48-hour shift. It luckily was not a long night, and it's the last day of the year. It's last day of 2024. Man, it goes quick. I can remember this time last year, I was all about planning 2024. This is gonna be my year. Had some successes here, but definitely had some interesting lessons that I learned. Definitely had some ups and downs. I'm gonna celebrate the wins, not be too hard on myself. First, make this turn. Not be too hard on myself, but I think the most important thing when you do take a L is to reevaluate what all happened and make adjustments. It's the same thing, with fitness and exercise, anything in life. Like if you do it and hit a hurdle or you fail, that's the best time to reevaluate. If it's something you're trying to do repetitively. Does that make sense? Had a good discussion with my brother a while back. He was one of the first ones I did a podcast with. And he has this acronym. It's called FAIL. F-A-I-L. Ale. I said L kind of funny. FAIL. And what that means is you could use this as an acronym for failure. It's your first attempt in learning. But that's actually where you get better. And the big difference is as we become adults, we really, really, really use failure as a measuring stick to not do things because you failed. And when you're a child and you really don't take into consideration what other people think, how you look, how dumb you feel doing something over and over again, and you just keep doing it until you get it right. And let's use walking, for example. If all children, the first time they attempted to walk, when they fell down, they were concerned about how dumb they look, what everybody else was thinking, how they'd be perceived by others in general, they would stop there. But kids don't. They generally don't give a fuck and just keep getting up and getting up. And what do? Next thing you know, they're walking. They're standing, they're walking. It's one of the competitive edges that kids have early in life because they just don't care about failing. They just have this innate urge to start walking. You ever think about it like that? And there were plenty of those instances throughout 2024. Let's talk about a couple of things that I learned through failure, but more importantly, how is this important to you? How does this benefit you? Well, maybe by listening to some of the things that I learned from my failures. Some of the wins are good. Some of the wins are really good. But I believe that there's more to learn in the failures because that's where you learn from your mistakes. You're able to make changes and adjustments. And then what I was going through some of these fails and also some of the interesting information that's come out of it. And I was having a discussion this morning with a good friend of mine. His name's Damon. And Damon started a year before me. And this is 15 years ago. And one of the first conversations we had when starting a career in the fire department is he was giving me a tour around the station. It was like my first or second day. And Damon had been there a year, so he had obviously learned some lessons and had some insights into the interworkings of the department. And I'm so glad that he shared some of this information with me. And we had a conversation this morning where we talked about one of the first things that he told me. He goes, "You remember when I told you that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what?" But at the time, I was so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed that it didn't go one ear and out the other. I'm really starting to see and read the lesson in between the lines of what he was trying to say. And that day, my first day on the job, Damon kind of pulls me to the side and says, "Hey, listen, not everybody who acts like your friend is your actual buddy. And not everybody you think is your enemy is your enemy." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, Damon. You've been here a year. You probably got a bad rap, bro, but I appreciate the information." Took it in. And I actually took it to heart. Because the more and more that I'm here at the job, going into year 14, here at this department, 15 years in the fire service, just over 24 in healthcare and the working field as is. Damn, ain't no truer shit that anybody's ever told me. I also follow another guy on Instagram, I'm sure he's on other platforms, where he talks about corporate culture. And it mimics a lot of what he says. I'll have to get that guy's name. Can't think of it right off the top right now. But one of his sayings is that in the workplace, you have friendly coworkers. You don't have co-working friends. Does that make sense? Your coworkers are not your friends. They're your friendly coworkers. And I was like, man, this guy probably somebody did him wrong at some point. He's just sour. But when you talk about the corporate world, which I worked corporate before getting into healthcare, I'm like, damn, hey, that's the truest shit out there. Is that people will befriend you to either get information out of you, get leverage on you. Now, let me caveat this with, that's not everybody, but it's a great paradigm to view things through, to keep you well informed. Let's put it that way. Is that some people are nice. Some people are playing the game. And that's what Damon meant when he said, not everybody's your friend. Because some people will just try to extrapolate some information from you and cubbyhole that information away until time it's convenient for them to bring up to either downplay you or use it against you. Now that's an example, and it's not to dishearten anybody from wanting to join the fire service or any job at that, but really corporate America could be pretty tough when it's dog eat dog and it's the game. I love Damon for that, man. That's been some really intuitive insight that he gave me. And as long as you know the rules of the game, then you can manipulate the rules into your favor. There are some people out there that are genuinely your friends, and there are some who are genuinely not. I like to reference the 48 Laws of Power. I love that stuff, man. I'll listen to that audiobook. I've read the book a couple times, listened to several different variations of the audiobook, a condensed version. Like I got an hour drive or getting ready to go to bed, as I'll re-listen to it. One of those is learn to be the perfect courtier or courtier. And when you're talking about medieval times or the way royal families were set up, is they had these courtiers. And these people were the actual gatekeepers of the power. And these would be people that were high up in influence, but they weren't the king or they weren't the boss of the company. They were something that was well liked by everybody, always stayed neutral in a way, never took one side or the other, but were able to navigate their way into influential places in the court, AKA the workplace, corporate job, fire department. You insert the arena. And that's what being a skillful courtier is that you get along with everybody. You also know when to back certain characters up and keep yourself at arm's length to where you're able to still navigate your way through the treacherous waters of the job. And I love that one. There's several of those laws of power I think that apply. And when it comes to the fire department, it's a pretty close-knit job. You're in close quarters. A lot of things are team-oriented tasks that you do, but a lot of it is highly individualized. But you can really get lost into some of the court games that go on at work. And what Damon mentioned to me about, hey, not everybody's your friend, like it's something that constantly comes up. And not to be distrustful of others, but to just be well aware of what the situation is. One of the other laws that I apply constantly, and this is something you got to do at the workplace because you want to be well liked, you want to get along with your coworkers, is to do and say as others do and say, but think as an individual. That doesn't mean not be genuine. That doesn't mean to be a lying son of a bitch. It just means to not rock the boat sometimes. If there's a general sentiment towards how something should be done, you're not the leader of the group, you're not the leader of the organization, but you are there to work and do a job, it's to not make waves and tell them all the reasons why you disagree, but to agree, take that into consideration, but think as an individual. Like, man, I don't know. Hey, it's your call. You're the boss. I'm not here to make decisions. I'm here to just do work. I believe that is a safe way to approach that. And so many times, if you think about that in the workplace, especially at the fire department, and I'll give you an example. If somebody has a way of, let's say, loading a hose, and the entire company agrees with it, that's the general sentiment. I'll agree. Yeah, I agree. But I'll think to myself as an individual, is this the best way? Is this the safest way? And is this something I agree with? A lot of times I do. But when I don't, I'll just keep that shit to myself for several reasons. I just know what it is. I understand their frame of thought. But I'm also going to keep in the back of my mind on what I would do if shit hits the fan. If I think it's something that's not the best approach. Because a lot of that plays back to rule number 1 of 48 Laws of Power. And rule number 1 of 48 Laws of Power is to never outshine the master. Now, obviously this was written a long time ago, and when they're talking about outshining the master, that's the king, or that's your immediate superior. And there's several reasons for this. To think as an individual, but not try to make your superior feel stupid, is that by outshining the master, you can elicit thoughts of jealousy, thoughts of inferiority, and it can be misconstrued as disrespect. So there are ways to be a good courtier and bring that up. There's also situations where it's like, you just don't say anything. And I'll give you another example. We use the fire department example. If you're in a meeting where you're doing a tabletop talking about a house fire, let's use that for an example, and the person leading the training gives a tactic and you don't agree with it, actually you see that there's something terribly wrong with the tactic that they're taking, and you have several ways that you could do it better. By not outshining the master, that would mean nod your head, say and do as a group is saying, but think as an individual. And when it comes to being a good courtier, you would not, in front of the entire group, outshine the master by pointing out the inconsistencies and all the reasons it's wrong. When you're not outshining the master, it would actually behoove you to ask leading questions that would get them to realize the mistake they made and have it appear to be their idea. Because it empowers them as a leader, but also makes you not look like an asshole. You know what I'm saying? By asking those leading questions or raising some concern in a nonchalant way, you are actually doing both. You are not outshining the master, you're not making the person that's leading the discussion look inferior or as if they missed something dumb or as if they made a mistake, but you're also looking like you're being pretty intuitive by asking pretty good questions, which led to the overall solution. Now, it's when you make it about yourself, you're not being a good courtier, and at the same time you're breaking rule number 1 by outshining the master. This is what that person would do. They would stop the discussion right away and say, I disagree. Actually, that's not safe. You went about it the wrong way. What you should have done was this. You see how that comes off? And when you're talking about interpersonal relationships, playing the game, and following some of these laws of power, you can see how that could isolate you in a group really quick. Well, that asshole thinks he knows better than the boss, and actually he's not the most tactful in the way that he said that, and was trying to look smarter and better and more experienced, then you start opening up all of those avenues. I think it's important. I'm gonna highlight that one again. I'm gonna leave the 48 laws of power in the link below. It's because so many of these laws are applicable in many circumstances in life. I know the past several videos I keep dropping the 48 laws of power, but man, it really is some powerful stuff. And when you apply them appropriately, it could give you so many less headaches, whether you're playing the game or you're not. I consider myself not playing the game at my job because I don't give a fuck about getting promoted. I don't. Very, very happy with what I'm doing. I've made the decision that I'm not playing the game as far as moving up the ladder, which brings a ton of freedom. Freedom in that I could be a lot more selective and a lot more strategic in the things I say and do. Because when it comes to strategy within my workplace, is you don't want to piss off the wrong people, especially if those people are the ones that are going to decide whether you move up the chain. See where I'm going with this? And so maybe you do withhold some information. Maybe you do withhold saying something or doing something because you're afraid of how that's going to look in somebody else's eyes. Somebody else's eyes being someone that may promote you later on or give you a raise later on. When you're not worried about that, you could be a little bit more strategic. For instance, in my case, if I'm not worried about being promoted, well, I'm not worried about doing special projects. You know what I'm saying? Special projects to gain favor. I will do special projects if my heart and my conscience and my values want me to do special favors. And by that I mean projects, doing things outside my scope that aren't necessarily in your job description, and that doesn't mean you have to do it, but then we get to a whole nother arena of ethics. Well, is it ethically right that I should do this? That's a whole nother discussion. Then, like, is this something that I agree with? Or is this something that I support wholeheartedly as a man, as a person, as an individual? Man, it's a different type of freedom. I'm telling you, boys and girls, whoever's listening, mostly men. I want to thank anybody who's listening, follows these videos, gets some value out of it. And I've done these for about a month now, and I'm starting to get some pretty good data. What I'm noticing is that most people will watch most of the video, and that the audience is mainly a male audience, which I don't direct it one way or the other. I just feel like we connect a little bit more, but definitely connect on certain videos a lot with the female audience. So I will welcome you, whether you're male, female, or whatever you identify as. Please don't cancel me. I'm an 80s baby. This is something that's new. I'm still navigating the waters of identity politics, and I don't take sides. Don't want to offend, but I also want to speak my truth and be as genuine as possible. Is that it can behoove you, if you're in a workplace, interpersonal relationships, family, whatever, should be useful. Hopefully I'm not running too far behind in this appointment. I got about 10 minutes to get where I gotta go. Love having these ride homes. This 48, give you a quick review, was a good one. Did get sleep both nights, which is great. I've really been prioritizing sleep. Whether you're doing fitness stuff, nutrition stuff, or just like trying to keep your mental together, sleep is king. Oh my God, it's king. I've noticed on days when I get good rest and several days of consistent rest that I'm more creative. I am more alert. I'm more assertive. I have the energy to do extra things that I planned on doing, whether it's going for a walk, exercising, spending time with my kids, being a little nicer to people around me, not being a grumpy bitch. That's what I've noticed. And by prioritizing my rest, I know that I can give my best. Did I just make a rhyme? When I get my rest, I can be at my best. I'm coining that. And it makes so much more of a difference. I've noticed on nights where I get inconsistent sleep, especially at work, that the fuse is just short. It's not just rest. There's a ton of physiological changes. Benefits are overwhelming. Try going a couple nights without good sleep. You're going to be a different person. And it's not that you're a different person. It's just that things aren't firing efficiently. You're not well rested. You're not ready to go. That's going to reflect in your work, the way you interact with people. And definitely if you're one of my people in the gym that's trying to see results, it's going to be pretty stagnant, especially for that short time frame. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I'm glad y'all come along with me with these rides. These tend to be some of my most creative and thought-provoking times in the car because I'm not playing the radio. I'm not distracted, and it makes me feel dumber after I listen to it. Current events is one thing. Usually start these off with giving you a weather report. It's the last day of the year. It's January 31st. It's pretty mild. We have not had snow out here in the Kansas and Missouri area, which I'm fine with. I like it being mild because I can go outside and get my steps in. A little brisk, a beautiful sunrise this morning. The clouds were just right to where it was getting a ton of this red reflection off the sun. Beautiful. And today also happens to be the last day of me doing my 10K steps a day challenge. It's something I did. I started within my private fitness community, the Tautua tribe. I'll leave a link down below. It's free, guys. It's a free community, but we do little challenges. I put on free courses, fat burning challenges, weight loss, muscle building. I make them all free and those resources as well. I got a meal prepping guide that will help you if that's one of the things that you struggle with, like trying to figure it out. Got a step-by-step guide you could use to start meal prepping. But I started this 10K steps a day. I was halfway through January. I was like, you know what? I want to do something that's a little challenging. And 10K steps a day takes a little bit of work. Now, if I'm at work and I'm running calls, I'm doing a lot of stepping, it's easy to hit 10K steps, sometimes 15, 20. But what I noticed is that there's a real steep drop off, especially when I get off, especially if I'm not getting sleep, to where I'm less active. And by forcing myself to get these extra steps in, it's adding to my NEAT calories, or my non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, calorie burn. And here's what I've noticed 15 days in. Today's day 15. I'm gonna get my steps in. And I'm gonna continue this. I'm gonna make this part of my day to day, is that I've lost weight. A lot of that fat, because I kept my exercises the same, my nutrition fairly consistent. I'm always on top of my nutrition. And the only thing that I've changed in my day to day was make sure that I hit 10K steps a day. And you're not doing it all at once. There's several benefits to this. I'll go over these in this video there. Is that by being able to do something that's low impact, you can recover quickly and it doesn't take a big toll on your central nervous system or on your muscles. So you can burn these extra calories without really taxing yourself. Also, that these calories add up through the week. Now, you could burn 3,500 calories in a day, but then you're taxing yourself a whole lot. But by doing this, you're adding that extra deficit throughout the week, and over the course of a week, it's a ton of calories. And if you're pretty dialed in on your nutrition, you're doing fairly good, and you're getting a couple workouts a week, let's say 3 workouts a week, and then you add in being more active throughout the week and getting these steps in, the weight starts falling off. And if you're doing resistance training, it's not going to be muscle weight, it's going to be fat weight. And one of the most exciting things for me is Coach Kid got a jawline. Look at this thing. I'm not flexing my chin. I've got a little bit of a chin. And I've got pictures and selfie videos and FaceTimes where the camera's low, and I have more chins than a Chinese phone book. That was usually my signal it's time to start losing weight, is when I got tired of seeing my own face in the selfie camera. I'm like, ew, man, that double chin's popping. It's time to start walking more. But I noticed that my face is really thinning up. I'm just above the 200-pound mark, so in 2 weeks, I'm down over 5.5 pounds. That's a lot of weight pretty quick. Some of that might be water weight because I'm watching what I'm eating. A lot of that's fat. And not a lot of that's muscle because I get my workouts in. So I would challenge you to do that. Just be more active. And if 10K steps is a lot of steps and your average is 3K steps a day, make it 4. Then once you can be consistent with that, you make it 5. And that's what we talked about, your first attempt in learning. It was one of those days where you try to go out there, I'm going to get 15,000 steps a day every day for the next 15 weeks. That's taking on a lot. And that's really modifying your behavior. And we're all creatures of habit. And by implementing smaller steps that you can stick to consistently, then you build up over that. And so your first attempt in that, maybe it didn't go so well, you make adjustments. And then you try it again. And if you fail, you learn something. And then you modify your behavior. And then eventually it sticks. And that's where learning to be okay with failing and implementing any of those things is really, really like a cheat code. Got another exit or two before I get off. I want to thank you for spending time with me. Look, your time is valuable. And the fact you spent any amount of it here with me, I'm grateful for it, because you could have been doing anything else. Join me and follow up with me on any of my social links down below. Join the tribe. Join some of these challenges. Get some of these free resources. Get better. Last day of 2024, you can't change anything. Everything in front of you is 2025 and beyond. And it starts with having a group that can help hold you accountable. Get the knowledge that you need. Use resources. Join groups. Even if it's not Coach Kia's group, join a group. Somebody holds you accountable. Get you excited about doing the next best thing. But more importantly, people that are encouraging you to continuously do better. Not that are pass judgment or make you feel stupid, or to make you feel dumb, but make you get a return on your time investment. And that's the best way to do it. Join the tribe below. Get some of these free resources. Emails down below if you want to reach out to me directly. Also, if you want to skip all that and jump right into a coaching session, I have links for those available too as well. And in those sessions, we talk about three things. We talk about the number one thing holding you back when it comes to your fitness and nutrition. I'll provide you with some solutions and some key ways that you can start seeing some results today. And three, a ton of notes, a ton of free resources, and a blueprint to get you from point A to point B. So if that interests you and that's going to be beneficial, hit one of the scheduling links down below. Follow me on socials, catch me on Instagram, Facebook, or email me directly. We'll go ahead and end it here. Remember, guys, it's about progress, not perfection. Be true to yourself. Hey, Coach Kia signing off. This has been another episode of Driven. Riding with Coach Kia. We'll catch you on the next one.